Hi, I'm Donna Kallner, and this is the final video in Lesson 1 of the Cross-Knit Looping e-course. In the earlier techniques video, we used a mold to simplify the visual field. In your first samples and the needle package sheath project, we used a wrapped base cord to get started and worked from the top down. As you learned, that wrapped base cord doesn't have much give. Another way to work is from the base up. This produces a rim that's visually unified with the stitching and more elastic. In this video, you'll learn to use a needle chain to establish a live edge and work from the base toward the rim. You'll also start experimenting with different ways to hold the work and manage your thread. To begin, I'll demonstrate the needle chain start with waxed thread to make it easier for you to see the structure. To begin the needle chain, make a slip knot in the tail of the thread. If you knit or crochet, you may be used to using a slip knot, but you probably make it in the working end of the thread. In the needle chain base and other things you'll learn in this class, you'll make the slip knot in the tail of the thread. You'll see why in Lesson 2. Make a loop of thread with the working thread passing over the tail end. Reach through the loop and pull up a loop from the tail. You can tell if it's made properly by tugging on the tail. If the loop gets smaller when you pull the tail, that's correct. If the loop doesn't change or gets smaller when you pull on the working end, try that slip knot again. Now orient the thread so that the tail is at north and the working thread is at south. Insert the needle in that loop from the front and angle towards south with the needle passing under the lower part of the loop and over the working thread. Press the thumb and index finger of your non-dominant hand around the loop to help control the thread as you draw it through and complete a link in this chain. Leave the loop large enough that you can insert the needle into the loop to make the next link. Treat the lower part of the link as a lag. Insert the needle in the last link made, passing under the lower part of the link and over the working thread, and repeat that motion to continue adding links until the chain is the length you want. This feels a lot like looping with a slightly different orientation, but there is an important difference that you should know. If you make a U-turn with the thread in this needle chain and pass it back through the last link, look what happens. Needle chaining can unravel. Nevertheless, chaining is an easy way to establish a live edge in which to loop, and looping, as we know, will not unravel. So here's how we can keep those links from coming apart. When the chain is the length you want, make one more link and pull that loop into a little knot to lock the chain. At this point, you can reorient the chain and you have a live edge to stitch into. Let me show you what that looks like with wool yarn. Pull up a loop from the tail to make a slip knot. Orient the slip knot with the tail at north and the working thread at south. Insert the needle from north to south under the lower part of the loop. We'll just pretend that's a lag. Draw the needle through and repeat to make the next link. Add links until the chain is the length you want. Work one more link, drawing the thread through into a little knot to lock the chain. Now let's start thinking of that chain as a live edge. I'm demonstrating right-handed, so I will reorient the chain with the working thread at the left so I can stitch from left to right. Lefties would orient it the other direction. Into this live edge, work a row of simple looping to set up for cross-knit looping. Start by looping across one long edge of the chain. When you reach the end, rotate the chain and work 2 stitches into the link at the end of the chain. Rotate the needle chain again so you can work simple looping across the opposite long edge. When you reach the other end, rotate the needle chain once more and work 2 stitches into the link at that end of the chain. Now you've worked a base row of simple looping all the way around the needle chain, and you're set up to work cross-knit looping in a continuous spiral. After a few rows of working in a continuous spiral, you'll see a pouch shape start to form. This is a good time to take a closer look at my hands. Since we've taken away the mold used in earlier samples, I'm supporting the work and managing the thread a bit differently now. Now, let me show you one more alternative and get you playing with the notion that there are many different ways to hold the work. In any situation, you can choose whatever option gives you the most thread control, comfort, and stitching satisfaction. This sample was worked upside down from base to rim. After making the needle chain, I worked the base row of simple looping with the needle moving from north to south. Gravity pulls the thread down in front as you complete each stitch. This time, after making the needle chain, I'm going to work right side up from base to rim, with the needle moving from south to north. Once again, I begin with a row of simple looping all the way around the needle chain. Note how the thread drops behind the work as you complete each stitch. You may find it helpful to catch the yarn around the fingers of your non-dominant hand as you pull the thread through and then adjust the size of your stitch. When the base row of simple looping is complete, I begin cross knit looping in a continuous spiral. This way of working may feel more natural to you, or it may feel completely weird. In either case, keep stitching. Once you get a few rows done, you'll probably find your hand position changing a bit. When you get to a point where it feels not weird and unnatural, pay attention. What's different? Be mindful of what feels natural and strive to repeat those positions and movements. Sample both ways of working in a continuous spiral from a needle chain start, making several small samples if you have time, rather than one big project. It takes some repetition. Perfection can come later. For now, what's important is learning to control the thread however you're holding the piece. That's it for Lesson 1. In Lesson 2, we'll build on the skills you're developing and introduce another way to start, a very cool way to use cross-knit looping, and some design considerations. I'll see you then.